Today's episode is brought to you by Mazars.
SoundCartel.
You're proud of your business, the name that you've established in the marketplace, and your product is the proof of your hard work. The last thing you want is copycats cashing in on all of it. The answer is trademark protection. From SoundCartel, I'm Nicole Goodman, and this is Business Essentials Daily. But there are watch-outs, Paul Brennan tells us, as he discusses the tricks and traps of trademark legislation. We'll hear shortly, for example, that the DIY approach has dangers, so beware. And Paul reminds Heather Dawson that there can be real bottom-line benefits to a trademark, as long as we're prepared to spend the money.
Trademarks can really add value to your business, and there are great things to take out. But I notice that with my clients, at a certain stage, they're just about keeping their head above water in their business, and they don't want to go spending this sort of money at an early stage. But other people have this fantastic name, no one else is using it, so they've got to go for it straight away. The great thing about trademarks is that really it protects what's unique about your business. And I can tell you now that if you have a successful business, then people are going to start to rip it off and copy you. So a trademark helps you stop them doing that.
Well, what does a trademark actually cover?
Well, I guess a good example of a trademark is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola have got something very unique about them. A lot of people have this cola or that cola, but if the look of the tins that they offer the Coca-Cola in gets too close to Coca-Cola, then they will sue and protect their brand. In the case of a New Zealand ice cream seller, they protected the music that they were playing. They used to play Greensleeves, and I think it's probably a service to the community that they're stopping other people doing it. But trademarks will protect music as well. Harley Davidson, they have registered trademark with the Harley Davidson rumble. I don't quite know the engine rumble of Harley Davidson. Obviously, it's very important to them, and it probably may stop some aging imitators out on the street to pretend that they're on Harley Davidsons.
If you've registered your business name, does that offer protection?
This is a big one. No, it doesn't. You have to have a registered trademark, and that's true anywhere in the world.
Now, you can do-it-yourself trademark applications these days. So what are the biggest watch-outs in this area, Paul?
Look, when you go on to government websites nowadays, they have very seductive websites. They say it's an easy application to make, and they say all you need to do is to fill out the simple form, pay a fee, and then you look to see if anything is similar, and then if the mark is capable of registration, then it's advertised and it's yours. All sounds very, very simple, but I can tell you that it's full of pitfalls. The reason is that trademark seems to attract a lot of unusual people, and I'm sure they wouldn't mind me saying this. Like, for instance, you've got trademarks which can be the bark of a dog is a trademark. Somebody's actually trademarked the smell of beer on darts. So smells can also be trademarks. So there's something for everybody here. But what you need to know is that once you get in the trademark arena, you come up against the trademark examiner. This is a person who would really like to give you that trademark, but for some reason or other, it's more than his job's worth to do it. Sometimes he'll reject your trademark outright. Other times, what he will do is raise arcane questions just to turn the knife. But for instance, he knows that there's a monopoly on a certain word. That's what a trademark gives you, and he really can't give you a monopoly over so many words. Like, for instance, if you had a monopoly over money grabbing, what would all the bankers do as describing their services? The examiner will act in some ways a bit like, if you're a mason listening on here, it's a bit like a worshipful master. He will talk in a very strange language. He will say to you, and you may find yourself warming to descriptions such as not distinctive enough or capable of distinguishing. And he will say things like, it's no direct reference to the character and quality. And you'll find yourself nodding at first, and then you'll realise you haven't got a clue what he's on about. And then you have the 2-month advertising period. Now you think you've got the trademark, he's given it to you, away and running, but all of a sudden you will find that lawyers will pop up from the woodwork, trademark lawyers, and find people who've got similar marks and encourage them to oppose your marks, and all of a sudden you'll find yourself in another fight.
Then you say, Paul, you may come up against more issues when you've actually registered the mark.
Look, this is a difficult area, and certainly as far as the mark's concerned, you've got to make sure you've got it registered in the right class. There's 45 different classes of trademarks. So, for instance, you can use a mark in one class, say for, as a cafe or a food outlet, but it means that your mark is not covered, say, for stationery. There's 45 different uses for trademarks. You have to make sure you've registered it in each class. Otherwise, someone can say, OK, that's your mark in that class, so therefore I can't sell food with it, but it's quite possible for me to sell shoes. So you've got to make sure what it is. And the classes, if you ever read them, it's like reading a long packing list. So this is somewhere where you have to have somebody who's expert advising you. Secondly, trademarks. You register it, it applies to one country only. It's very important with the internet nowadays, and for trying to sell products in other countries, you may need to take legal advice on how to do that. And there are ways to register in other countries too, but really it gets very expensive unless you just concentrate on the countries that you're going to be doing business in. If you don't use the mark properly for, say, 3 years, then it can be taken off you. And a competitor will obviously helpfully start this procedure off.
OK, so lots of watch-outs there, Paul. What's the wisest way of approaching trademark registration, do you think?
I think here, I'm going to say this, I think you need a lawyer who knows about trademarks to help you, steer you through this. I've known lots of business who run unsuccessfully, who register their own trademarks and have no problems. But if you get anything, a product which is worth stealing, it will be stolen. And so you better make sure, if you've got something that's good, get the trademark registered.
That was Brennans Solicitors Principal, Paul Brennan. And Paul will be back soon on Be Daily. He'll talk about what you can do if an employee runs off with your business secrets. This episode of Business Essentials Daily is produced by the team at SoundCartel. Thanks for listening. I'm Nicole Goodman. We'll bring you more Be Daily tomorrow. Follow @BE Daily Podcast across social media and head to bedaily.com.au for more from the Business Essentials Daily podcast. SoundCartel. This episode was brought to you by Mazars. To find out more, visit mazars.com.au. That's mazars.com.au.